if you are running not just an election ad, so you're a candidate, but you're running an issue ad and we're going to publish a list of issues, we're going to verify who you are. You're going to have to tell us your location, your identity. If you won't tell us that or we don't think it's correct, we're not going to let you run.
Facebook's chief operating officer Sheryl Sandberg telling Fox News Channel's Dana Perino that the social media giant is making big changes to the way it manages ads and pages on Facebook as well as Instagram. This as consumer watchdog groups are now filing new FTC complaints against Facebook, and they're focusing on facial recognition software, saying that violates user privacy. Here now to discuss Fox Business's Deirdre Bolton, Katie Freitz, managing editor of Olympic Media, and Adriana Cohen, a syndicated columnist and Boston Herald radio host. Deirdre, let me start with you. They're out there now. Sheryl Sandberg finally has emerged, and she's obviously trying to clean things up here. One thing that stood out with me earlier in the day, the notion that perhaps people would have to pay to safeguard their privacy on Facebook.
I don't know that people would have to pay, but I think what somebody in Congress should ask on one of the 2 days that Mark Zuckerberg is in D.C. next week is, would you ever think of offering a subscription model to Facebook, much as Netflix does? And then for the people who want to be protected for a few bucks a month and want to pay that, I'm just curious if that's going to come up. I'm not saying that is the answer. I think both Sheryl Sandberg and Mark Zuckerberg have said, listen, it's not going to be an overnight turnaround. We have years to go to handle the way that.
Years to go to get their reputation back, or years to go to do the right thing?
Well, I think they have to start doing the right thing now. We've seen some steps, but they're still not really changing anything. They're just being more transparent about their methodology. We go back 8 years to Steve Jobs, who was obviously then the leader of Apple, saying you have to ask people at every single juncture, ask them if they want to share, ask them until they get sick of hearing the question, do you want to share this? So I do think Facebook is still quite a ways from that point of view.
So Katie, that being said, to what degree should government interfere here rather than allowing market forces to take action? Because this sort of negative publicity makes it pretty easy now for would-be rivals to step in and say, hey, we do it differently.
Right. Well, and that always worries me. Any sort of chance for government to intervene is always something that concerns me because I think they tend to not always do it correctly. But in this instance, I mean, Facebook is just so large. And what Sheryl Sandberg said in these interviews, she admitted that this is not going to be, Cambridge Analytica is not going to be the only problem. She said that they will find more instances of data breaches. So we really don't know how much bigger this problem is going to become. So I'm really happy to see that they are going to Congress and that they are going to answer questions. But in terms of government coming down on them, coming down on free market, coming down on a private company, that makes me a little nervous.
But, Adriana, they have a serious problem in the sense that this is the core of their business model. They get the world public actually to pour their heart and soul into this machine, and then they get to leverage that for billions of dollars. It's going to be a serious issue for them to change that.
Right. I like the idea of giving users a choice. Do you want to pay $1 a month or $5 a month? Pick a number. Then it's basically like ad blocker. You won't see ads. We will do a greater job protecting your information from advertisers. Or if you want it for free, then you have to know that advertisers are going to target you because your information is out there. But that being said, users need to have common sense. You shouldn't overshare things on Facebook or any social media site. Don't give these deep, dark, personal details of your entire resume, your entire history online. I mean, identity thieves and cyber criminals can absolutely access that information. They are accessing that information, and they could really harm you. And so you have to be very careful of what you're posting and set every possible privacy control available to you. Review it tonight, everyone, and make sure you're not overly exposed in the interim until they fix this.
It's easier to review these days.
As of Monday.
As of Monday.
But I like what you asked about the business prospect, because the point of Facebook is to connect us as friends, it's to connect us to advertisers, it's connecting us to developers. So if you begin to change that either through regulation, self-regulation, or impose regulation, I don't know what that makes your company anymore.
One thing I want you to think about. What if they offer us a chance to share in the action? Do what you're doing, but give me a piece of the action. 1%, 3%, 5%. What would that do?
I think that's an interesting concept, but with 2 billion users, they're not going to last very long.
All right. Thank you very much. Ladies, thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Wish we had more time. Coming up, the major averages.